Hello everyone, in this video I'll be breaking down the best birth signs in Oblivion Remastered on a tier list. So some of these are extremely effective throughout the entire game, some of them are effective at the start of the game, and some of them just downright suck. So I'll be breaking down all of these on a tier list here to help you decide on which ones are best for you. The first one we'll be focusing on is the Lover. Now the Lover gives you just the Lover's Kiss, which can paralyze a target for 10 seconds. And then it'll reduce your own fatigue by 120 points. Can only be used once per day. This is kind of similar to the other once per day spells. They're not that great, and there are doomstones that you can find throughout the game that give you some of these benefits, and you could also just make your own spell version of this later in the game. And I honestly just don't think that this one is that great compared to some of the other single time per day ones. So the Lover, I'm gonna have to say, is probably a C to F tier. It's just not as good as a lot of the other ones that we have here. Like next we got ourselves from the Lover to the Lady. So the Lady, what does it do? It gives you a +10 to your willpower and your endurance. This is actually one of the better birth signs, especially early on in the game, because getting that extra 10 endurance is so impactful, especially if you're playing as like a Breton who gets magic resistance but has less endurance. This will give you that +10, because with endurance it's going to give you more maximum health. With Fortify Willpower, that's going to give you better magicka recoveration, I guess, and also your fatigue. So with this, it's going to be great for a variety of like spell blade builds, which are very effective in this game. So if you're going with like a battle mage or spell sword, etc., the Lady is a great choice. However, you can get all your stats up to maximum, so this is keeping it out of the S tier, but it's still a really good option. So with that, I'd have to say it's an A tier choice. With the Lady, giving that extra +10 to your willpower and endurance is extremely effective for a variety of builds. However, next we got ourselves the Apprentice. Now the Apprentice gives you +100 magicka, which is very, very impactful. There's not very many ways to get that much magic in a single bout, but with the Apprentice, this gives you also a 100% susceptibility to magic, meaning you're going to take a bunch more damage. Magic damage is extremely common in Oblivion, so I always recommend going with like the Breton or the Dark Elf. The Dark Elf gets a 25% resistance to fire, and then the Breton gets a 50% resistance to overall magic, so they're really good. Making yourself take more damage from magic is not that great. +100 magic is effective, but you got the Mage giving you +50, and then you also get the Atronach, which gives you 150. With each of them having their own kind of pros and cons, but overall I would have to say that the Apprentice is another one that's not great, so I'd actually put this probably in the F tier. The big drawback by taking more damage, not very good. Next we got ourselves the Ritual. The Ritual is interesting. So this gives you 2 per day castings. So you get the Blessed Word, makes undead flee in horror for 30 seconds, be cast multiple times per day for 40 magicka. So that's nice, but I mean, you can always make your own spell like this. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So while that's nice, it's not a huge draw for the Ritual. The big thing here is Mara's Gift, Greater Power. Restores 200 points of health, can be used once per day. That's actually not bad as far as once per day spells go. The Blessed Word is kind of something you can just ignore, but getting 200 health once per day is really useful, especially early game, but even into the late game, that's still something you'll probably use. So with that, the Ritual is not a bad birth sign. I'd have to say it's probably B tier. Not one that I would personally pick myself, but it's still pretty decent, all things considered. So yeah, next we got ourselves the Shadow, though. This is an interesting one. It gives you the Moon Shadow, which is a greater power and grants visibility for 60 seconds, can be used once per day. This is another one that's not bad early in the game, because sometimes you just need that extra a full minute of stealth can give you a lot of openings for things, like if you need to go around grabbing items that you may not be allowed to be in, this is going to be a good one for that. So of the single time per day ones, this is a little bit better than most, but more so for stealth based builds. Another thing with Oblivion is you can get chameleon gear that hides you completely, so you can get gear that'll give you this for pretty much your entire run. You do get it later on in the game, but this one is not bad. I would actually probably say this is somewhere around the C tier. Just it does have its usefulness, but it's not like the big burst of health, which it's useful all game long. You'll eventually get items that will kind of, I mean, you'll get items that can heal yourself too, but getting yourself a spell, it's I feel like a little bit better. That's why I'm going to put this one in the C tier, just because there's a lot of ways to get invisibility. Plus, you can also level up your stealth all the way to level 100 at the very start of the game. So, yeah. Next, we got ourselves the Thief. Now, the Thief's an interesting one. This is the only birth sign that'll give you 30 points of attributes. So, This gives you a plus 10 to your agility, plus 10 to your luck, and plus 10 to your speed. Agility is great for those that want to use bows or short swords because that's going to increase the amount of damage you deal with them. Fortify luck here is the big thing because luck is one of the hardest stats to increase in Oblivion, because whenever, especially in the remastered version, when they changed how level ups work, you only get 12 points to put your attributes. Now the problem with that is with only 12 points, normally you can put things up by 12 points. However, luck takes 4 of those attribute points to increase at one time, making luck actually kind of costly. So agility, great boost. Speed, whatever. Speed's fine. It doesn't make a massive difference in the game. But that fortify luck plus 100, plus 10 makes this one of the better burst signs. Plus, if you look at like the warrior, it's only a plus 20. That's a plus 20. The lady, plus 20. So with the thief, giving a plus 30 total is nice. And it gives you one of the better ones of fortify luck. Again, you can get all the stats up to maximum, but I think that the thief is good enough to go possibly into the it's high A tier, potential S tier option just because of that extra stat. So I'd say it's probably top of the A tier in terms of its effectiveness. Next, we got ourselves the warrior, kind of similar to the lady. So the lady gives you plus 10 endurance, plus 10 willpower. This gives you plus 10 endurance, plus 10 strength. So where the lady is great for spell blades, this is better for those who just want to be like a warrior. Now, I'll be honest, getting willpower is probably more effective than getting strength in this game. Strength's going to increase your overall damage, but the thing is, this game heavily favors ranged combat, especially magic. So the warrior is not bad, giving yourself a plus 20 to both those stats. It's perfect if you want to go with like a warrior archetype. But overall, I would actually say the warrior is one of the, it's probably high B tier. I'm still going to put it into the A tier here. It's just not as good as the other two that we mentioned here previously that give you the stat boost. Next is the Atronach. This is the most divisive one in this list. I personally think that this is really good, and here's why. It gives you plus 150 to magicka. There's no other way to get that much magicka in a single pick, so for that, massive. On top of that, it gives you a 50% chance of absorbing spells that are cast at you, giving you your magic back. So that's great because with a Breton alongside the Atronach, you're going to resist magic and also give a 50% chance of absorbing those spells. However, you can't regenerate your magicka. So this is going to rely heavily on alchemy to be able to create potions of sorcery to give you your magic back. So I think the Atronach's S tier. I'll be honest with you guys right now. I think Atronach is one of the best birth signs. It is extremely game changing though. And the reason that I'm saying game changing is because you do have to play the game completely differently. You can't rely on your magicka to regenerate. You're actually going to be running into spells to get your magic back, which is as funny as it sounds. But you will rely more on potions and stuff like that. So getting a plus 150 in magicka is huge. That means you can cast some of the most powerful spells in the game right at the start of the game, but with its obvious drawbacks. So again, it's an S tier choice. I think it's incredible what it does for the game and how it makes you play it a lot differently. Next, we got ourselves the Lord. Now, the Lord was changed with the remastered version of Skyrim, and now it's very good. It gives you a plus 15 to your armor rating, which, may I mention, you're probably not going to get gear that gives you that high of an armor rating in the game anyways at the start. So you're going to really get a huge buff to your overall survivability. And it also allows you to resist magic by 15%. So both of those persist into the late game. Very effective. Getting that straight up bonus to your shield and resist magic is extremely useful. So for that, I would have to say that the Lord is another S tier pick. And this is one that's just going to have a huge benefit because, as I mentioned, you can get your stats, so you can get all your endurance up to 100, you can get your willpower up to 100. You can't increase your magic resistance and shield other than equipping armor. This is just going to give you a flat out bonus if you're completely not wearing any armor at all. So yeah, that is extremely useful, and it's majorly changed from how it was in the original Oblivion to make it actually an S tier option. So you can see there, we got it up in the S tier for a good reason. Next, we got ourselves the Mage. So the Mage is kind of bland, boring, just a plus 50 to magicka. We got one that gives you a plus 100 with a downside, and then 150 with a crazier downside, but also another buff. So if you're going to go for magic, Atronach's probably the best way to go, or go with the Lady for better health and better magicka regeneration. This plus 50 magicka is not bad, though. I would still say it's probably top of the B tier. Even somewhere around A tier, it's pretty solid. I might actually say Warrior. It might be a little bit better in the Warrior in certain, just the way that Oblivion plays. It might be a little bit better than it. So I'll actually place the Warrior down to B tier. Next, we got ourselves the Serpent. So this gives you a ability to poison targets. So deal 3 points of damage for 20 seconds. It also cures poison, dispels 90 points in damage, fatigue. 100 points to the caster, can be used once per day. This is, again, another one that's just not good. Greater powers, well, they're useful at times. There's also, again, Doomstones. They'll give you some of these effects a little bit differently. It's just too much of an opportunity cost when you could have gotten like the magic, you could have gotten increase to your stats, you could have got the damage resistance, you could have got really anything else with this. The Serpent is just not good, I'll be honest. This is another F tier choice, so yeah, it's just not that effective. Next is the Stallion or the Steed. This will give you a fortify speed by 220 points. I am speed. Yeah, not that great, I'll be honest with you guys. It's nice to get that increase to your overall mobility, but again, you're going to get speed increases again throughout the game. So, you know, just level up your speed near the end. Also with speed, it can be good if you want to just try to avoid enemies, but kind of same thing as acrobatics and athletics. Those skills just level up so quickly in this game that speed and those are not the best picks. It's not the worst pick in the game. I'm just going to put it into the C tier for that. And finally, we have the Tower. Now, the Tower actually isn't as good as the Doomstone, which you can literally go and get the Tower Doomstone for the Birthsign Blessing at the start of the game. This one gives you an average difficulty, so you can use it once per day to unlock an average lock. With the stone, which is near the Vindazel, the tomb there, which you can get the Umbra armor, which you may know from playing Oblivion a long time ago, or if you haven't, it's one of the best armor sets in the game. You can get early game. This only gives you an average one, where the Doomstone gives you hard locks once per day. So even better than the Tower Key. And the Tower Warding reflects all 5% of incoming damage for 120 seconds. That's just mid. It's nice to have those abilities, but you get better ones. Also, lock picking. You get the Skeleton Key, which completely makes locks trivial at a certain point in the game. So, well, this is okay at best. I still think there's much better options here. So the Tower is also going in the F tier. So I guess we could probably shift the Mage up a little bit. Yeah, because getting a plus 50 magicka is pretty useful in the game. So what it looks like at the end here, we got the Atronach at S tier. We got the Lord there for the damage reduction and the overall magic resistance. So these two are very game changing. If you don't know what to pick, the Lord's always a good choice. And if you want to go around the Atronach, it's a great choice. The Thief's good too, especially if you're going for more of like a stealth archer build. I know a lot of people really enjoy that in this game. The Wizard, okay, for the 50 magicka, that's good and all. And the Lady for the willpower and endurance, it's also quite good. So let me know your thoughts of this tier list in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.